workshop which runs over 2 days, and the purpose of the workshop is to guide you into the process of writing a research proposal, because most of you are in the process or about to start writing your thesis, the MA or a PhD, and of course the proposal is an important step. So this is an attempt to help you in this process. Of course, this is part of a bigger thing, which is about academic writing in general, how to write a thesis, how to write a research paper, how to write an abstract, to participate in a conference, and so on. But of course, these are larger things that will be addressed perhaps later, and maybe next fall or something, but we wanted to start with this step that will take you off, and some of you plan to work in the summer on your proposals. There are two things that have to do with your expectations about the workshop. I think, the workshop is addressed for everybody, addressed to everybody. So you are present here and you have different levels of expertise in writing proposals. So please don't feel disappointed if you feel that it says very obvious things and you already know these things because you have already written your MA proposal or something, or maybe it's a bit challenging because you haven't started yet. We're trying to make it more general, that addresses a lot of points. The second thing about your expectations is that it's a little bit geared towards literature, not towards linguistics, but we are also trying to make to emphasize points that would work for everybody, for all disciplines, even engineering or whatever. But for example, our examples will be more related to literature and so on. Maybe some of the points don't apply to linguistics. I don't know if we have linguistics people here. I don't need to say, but in general, if you want to tell your colleagues, it works for everybody, but whenever there is something we're not sure about in linguistics, we will point out, and then you will, linguistics people will have to consult with the supervisors. We know that in the fall, Dr. Ola Hafiz will be given maybe an extended workshop on academic writing, and this will be, I think, geared more towards linguistics, and I'm not sure what she's going to do, but I'm sure there will be part on proposal writing related to linguistics people. Okay, the workshop is interactive, which means we are presenting. We are not depending so much on the PowerPoints. The PowerPoint is only a guide. So it's interactive in terms that you can interfere with questions, requests for clarification at any point. But I would ask you to, if the question is pertinent and is urgent and it needs to be asked right at the moment, okay. If you think it can wait, we have a time for discussion. We have specified times for discussion that we will then announce to you. So if your question can wait, please write it down in a note and then we can discuss it later. If it is urgent, please don't hesitate to interfere with questions. The last thing I would like to say is please take down notes, because we don't have everything here. We don't have things spelled out so neatly on the PowerPoint. We are explaining a lot as we go along. We are discussing a lot. And from the discussion, you will get points and ideas. So please be ready with your notebook and write down your comments. You will not getting, unfortunately, you won't be getting like a hard copy of the work of the presentation. There is, but it says very little. Right. We will start with an outline of the workshop itself, the 2 days of the workshop. The workshop is always 2 sessions, today and tomorrow, 2 sessions. Session A today is from 12 to 2, okay? And here This is an introduction to writing a research proposal, and we are discussing research versus proposal. Then we discuss research and then proposal separately. So research first and the stages of writing a research. The second session starts 2:30 and ends 5:30, and there we start discussing the elements of the proposal, one by one. Second day, same time frame. Session 1, we talk about, we have an exercise, because in the second session we do the elements of the proposal. In the first session tomorrow we give you exercises, we show you parts of a proposal or of different proposals, and then we critique them together for, to know if they are compatible with what we discussed the day before. Okay? These are anonymous proposals, and they are actually made up, so we are not slandering anybody by taking bits and pieces of the proposals, even without their names, but without their consent. We're not doing that. We have made up a couple of proposals. In the same session, we do, there is an Arabic summary that is required from you when you register with the proposal in English for الدراسات العليا. For اللجنة اسمها اللجنة العلمية في الدراسات العليا, you are required to present an Arabic summary, and this is important too because it's not just a paragraph, it's the full proposal but smaller again. So there are some technicalities that we need to be aware of in writing the Arabic summary. The second session tomorrow, we discuss general considerations about writing the proposal. So we move away from the elements as such, and we consider larger contextual considerations like community of researchers. How do we act as community of researchers? Academic considerations like where I find references, what is a good reference to cite, is it okay to cite Wikipedia, this kind of thing. And then emotional considerations about your, okay, I know how to write a proposal that I can't write, so what is the problem, so some, I don't want to say psychological, but emotional considerations. And we all have it, so now it's don't worry. And ethical considerations, like what's ethical considerations that you need to be aware of, not to take something from like an idea or something without acknowledging this kind of ethical matters. Now I leave the floor to
Good afternoon. I just want to start building up on what Dr. Randa has just said. This part of the session is interactive. I need to hear what you think, and I need you to engage with one another. Basically, we want to disentangle two issues. The session is about how to write a research proposal, and what are the operative words in this title. What are the important words?
Right, it's proposal.
So it's proposal and right. And well, that's not quite the operative word, but research and proposal. And these are two things we need to disentangle upfront from the start. You have to think as you're writing your proposal that your research is one thing, your proposal is another. They are related, but they're not quite the same. Now, how do you understand the difference? What's the difference between research and a proposal about research?
Research is the act in itself, like gathering material and reading and all that stuff. Proposals like the end result of the research.
Okay.
I think that the proposal is the thing I write to convince anyone who's going to read the research itself of what I'm doing. It's not the actual work. Like I
So you think the proposal convinces?
yes.
Okay.
I think that research is a broader term. It's research involves more, let's say, more reading skills, research skills. I'm searching for something. It's research. I'm searching, researching, and reading and finding stuff. And then the proposal is, it's not really the end result for me. I narrow down what I did in the research, in a way.
Okay. Let me just tell you how we envision it in this workshop. Now, your research is what you're doing, what you're working on, your topic, how you're going to present it, what methodology you're going to use, etc., etc. It's everything to do with the content of what you're doing. A proposal is really how you're going to present that research. And remember, a proposal is only a limited preliminary stage. You write a proposal, you get your research accepted by the community of scholars, and you move on. Now, does that mean the proposal is not important? This is something I'll come back to in a minute. But you have to keep in mind that difference between what you're doing as research, how you're presenting this research. Of course, the trouble with a proposal is there's always a format, and you always have to adhere to that format. And you often, and we've all been there, want to get to the stage of getting your proposal accepted, right? And this is a negative way of thinking about the proposal, because in fact, writing a good proposal takes you a very long way. And we will talk more about this later on as we discuss the mechanics of the proposal. When you write a proposal, what's the connection between the proposal and your actual research? But this is an experience that a lot of people will tell you they have been through. It's definitely been my experience in writing my MA dissertation. The more time you spend on the proposal, the better thesis you write later on. Because you've already understood what you want to do and how you want to do it. And you've done, don't rush with writing a proposal. Of course, don't delay forever. But also, don't think that this is a step that you just want to finish in a week. No, you need a bit more research than that. Now, what's the connection between the content and the presentation? Can they benefit each other, or are they completely unrelated?
Content is what I'm presenting. I don't have a proposal that hasn't done any research about content.
So you can't write a proposal if you haven't done any research. Right. But, is writing a proposal important? Does it reflect on the research itself?
Yes.
How?
I think it shows the focus, foregrounds my focus, and then it puts the the divisions and the subdivisions, what I'm going to use as support for the main argument.
Okay. Yes.
I think that the proposal is important because it has the questions that the things that I want to answer through my research. So I think one can depend on the proposal while doing the actual research, because it has why I'm doing this and how I'm going to do it and what exactly I'm doing. So by answering these questions, I can do the actual research. So I think that definitely the research depends on the proposal.
I think it's a fantastic chance for you to test what you want to do with your research, especially as you go through the later stage of the seminar, when people read what you have written. Often we're out there in the dark, we're writing something, we think it's the best thing that we can offer, but that is the whole idea about the seminar and about a community of researchers around you who guide, who suggest, who modify, who propose a different source to read, who propose different methodology to be familiar with. It's a chance for you to test what you want to do. Again, the presentation is important. This is a completely unacademic example. Think of yourself making a cake. half the serving is in the presentation, right? You make the most brilliant, delicious cake and then you present it upside down, mahru'a. It doesn't pay off, it's like you haven't made it. So, yes, you want to be concerned with how to present it, but you also want to be more concerned with what is in it. Of course, in your undergraduate studies, as graduate students, etc., you're more familiar with this. It's the proposal that is new to you and that has a specific format and specific requirements. And that is what we're going to be working on in the remainder of this session, the next session, and all of tomorrow. And as Dr. Randa said, we're going to be doing this methodically, like moving from research, and part of the workshop will be on research, the other part will be on the proposal itself. And now Dr. Randa will talk to you more about this.
Okay, of course we have to separate, I mean, yes, it seems that we all agree that the two things are related, research and proposal, but just to study them, we have to sort of separate them. And it's also important for us to have them separate in our minds, you know, that there is research, there is proposal, but finally they melt down into one result at the end. So, research. Stages of the research. We will talk about stages. Because when we come to proposal, we talk about elements. That's another thing. But research, we thought it would be maybe more appropriate to handle it as stages. And we will be talking about 5 research stages, or 5 stages of the research process. So, the first of these stages, of course, naturally, is choosing a topic. How do I choose a topic? Do I choose the topic, or does the topic choose me, or how does it happen? Usually, the process of choosing a topic, in some cases, in most cases, does not start consciously. You know, you don't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to search for a topic, like I'm going to buy a pair of shoes or something. It's to some it's like that, and it's okay. But to others, and I think in most cases, it's something that develops gradually through your reading, through your interaction with literature, through your preferences. I like this author, I like this method of research, and I want to use it, this kind of thing. So, whether it starts consciously or unconsciously, it's something that goes again through stages, because I can start from a genre that I like. Okay? I like drama, so I'm working on dramas. But what about drama? So the next step would be which playwrights, which plays, which movements in drama, absurd, Victorian drama, Shakespeare, whatever. So I can start from a genre, or I can start from a writer, a figure. You know, I like Shakespeare, so I want to work on Shakespeare. I can start from an approach, like feminism. I'm fascinated with feminism, so I want to do something. Feminism is not actually a text that I'm studying, unless I'm doing criticism and I'm studying feminism as a text. But if I'm talking about a literary work, I can start thinking about a literary work from the approach. I like deconstruction, so I want to see how it works, okay? Or perhaps from a text, I like this novel, The English Patient, so I want to do something with The English Patient. So it's not really a writer, it's not a genre, it's a specific text. In any case, wherever I start, from any point, there are other points to gather around it. So I have a topic, not yet a topic, I have a text. So, what approach am I going to use to tackle this text? Dr. Walid will be talking to you in a minute about how to combine the text with the approach. But now, this is just how the idea of developing the topic comes to your mind. But this in a perfect world. Sometimes the process of choosing a topic is an extremely laborious process, and it takes us a very long time. So let's think for a little while. Why would the process of finding a topic sometimes be difficult and laborious to some? And it would be, of course, useful if some of you who are experiencing this already can tell us. So I have a lot of hands. Yes?
Well, one of the problems is time, obviously. Not really finding the time to sit down and think about anything. Another thing is that even when something pops to mind, it's not 100% clear yet, it's not concrete. And then I read and I find other people who've written on the topics, so it's like I'm starting all over again with something that wasn't like touched with balwara aslan in the day. I have a headache. It's very hard.
I would say that this is quite normal, and this shouldn't put us off. This is a process of exploration, and I cannot expect to land on a perfect topic the first time I start. So it's perfectly normal that I research a little bit, and then I find that someone else has done it, or maybe this is like a silly topic, I don't really want to do it, or it doesn't really stand the trial. I chose it, but then it doesn't stand. So, I mean, this is part of the process of deciding a topic. The concern would be time, as you're saying, so I don't have all the time in the world to start all over again every now and then. I think the point, how to tackle this, how to attack this, is not to leave the research. So because we tend to leave research for periods of time. And yes, I have a topic, and okay, I found a topic. I will start working on it next month, and then maybe next month, and then something happens. So in the summer, and then I start working on it, but I work slowly, and then in 6 months I discover that the topic is not appropriate, or I want to leave it, or it's not interesting. So I go back, and I have 6 months lost, and I need another 6 months to develop another topic. However, it doesn't happen like that. After the first 6 months are wasted, I am pressed because of my work, for example, or my social life, or whatever. I want to finish بقى خلاص البروبوزل دلوقتي. فأعمل البروبوزل in a hurry. The new proposal with the good topic that I found. So time is important, especially at the early beginning. Don't stop, because you want to get off your feet. Okay, so in general, don't go slow, but you have more luxury when you have registered and you are doing your research. Okay, but at the beginning, work hard to crystallize the proposal. What would be other reasons why proposal is difficult, a topic is difficult to find? Yes?
Maybe sometimes I find text, but I can't find the question or problematic situation to discuss it in my proposal, in my research. And sometimes maybe you find a question that you can find assumptions, maybe you can figure out in my proposal. So it's as in my field, it's really very important, and without it,
yes, of course, definitely, because I like The Merchant of Venice, but what am I going to say about The Merchant of Venice, for example? You mean, I have to find questions, I have to find a problematic that I want to handle, I want to find a methodology, I want to find something new to say about it. So how do you think we can combat that? Yes? I think, no, they're not the same. They are quite similar, but they are not the same. Yeah. The topic is larger than the problematic.
Yes, exactly. So, I don't have a problem with the topic, and also I have a problem with the problematic.
Okay. So, we will come to problematic, right? So, when we get into proposal and the elements, there is an element on problematic, so perhaps it will make things clear at that time. So how can we combat this idea that I have a text and I don't have an angle to tackle the text, which is the problematic kind of thing. So what do I do?
Perhaps read criticism on the text?
Read more around the text, yes, read more, and this is actually one of the stages that we are doing preliminary research and then expanding your reading. This is one of the stages that can help us. So it's okay when I have a topic not to have all the elements ready with me, not to have the problematic and everything, because there are other stages, as you can see on the screen. There are other stages. So there is a stage where I think of an approach, and then there is a stage where I do preliminary reading, and so on. Other comments here? Yes.
I think if you get another text with the text that you can find an angle or comment, or sometimes it opens up.
Thinking of another text, maybe combining another text. Reading the work itself a lot, you know, The Merchant of Venice, I love it. So I read it once, twice, 3 times. Maybe something will reveal itself to me from the reading. In addition, of course, to reading around it, reading what has been written about it.
And reading from points of view who are not very much in favor of the text. And people who don't like it.
Okay, so this will get you something fresh, something new to...
it's like answering back, standing up for the text.
That would get us more, yes, into the methodology, which is very good. So now you know that you're going to use a critique of readings of something, you're going to use deconstruction of something. Yes, there you go.
The comparative kind of reading. This is personally what I did. It's like if I am in love with a text from the Victorian period for a certain writer, so I start to read the text I'm in love with, okay, and other texts written in the same period, and start to see, I don't know, similarities, differences, without having comparative in my mind. I don't mean to do a comparative study at the end, but reading the text that I like in comparison with other contemporary texts might give an insight.
So yes, this is, I mean, we have to suggest that complement each other. Not just to focus on my text, but to expand my readings around, of other texts, and then text might answer back to each other, might speak to each other somehow in my mind. Yes?
Okay, I had kind of the same problem because I was reminded of the French study, and I was obsessed by certain texts in American texts. So I was trying to find another culture, maybe Arabic concept. But actually I couldn't. But I kept reading all, but I couldn't really find any massive things. So at the end, I kept trying to find what can be a bit similar to it. But I found myself I'm just trying to cater something, so it's not making sense. And then at the end, so I wrote the whole thing.
Okay, this is a common problem too, and I think when we get to the other stages, because finding your topic is not the final stage, it's the beginning stage. So if you have a situation like that and you have a text and you want to compare it to another text but you don't know which, so perhaps when we talk about subsequent stages, this will reveal to you something, because you read around, you discuss with people and so on. Yes?
Maybe sometimes we find a topic and I'm going to work on it, but there is another problem, which resources I can take, and which text in this resources, especially if I am working on a topic not personal or person, or a special text button a topic, or one.
Resources.
Yeah.
Okay, resources. This is a point we will come to when we start talking about doing the research, preliminary research. So I mean, it's important to define what problems we have, because the next stages will answer back to these problems. The idea to stress here is that we should not really seek at the beginning to have something crystallized and quite clear in our head. It's enough to start with one of these things, a topic, a figure, a literary period, a literary movement, whatever, and then look for what problems we have. I mean, your questions are important because they identify problems, and it's important to identify the problem, because other stages will, doing the other stages, I would be looking for how to solve the problems I identified earlier. So it's important to identify the problems.
Are we allowed to contribute to those wonderful ideas you're giving?
Yes, of course.
Okay. One way of wasting time, you don't want to waste time finding your topic now. One way of doing that is following lateral thinking, not vertical thinking. In other words, don't land on a topic and say, this is what I want to do. But maybe you follow your inclination for, I want to work with this or that period. And then you start reading laterally. In other words, read about different aspects of that period. Don't limit yourself from the very start to one area, because then you may be wasting time. Problem solving today follows, it's more modern, it's more up to date to follow lateral thinking and not vertical thinking. Vertical thinking could be useful, but it's used only in certain areas of your research. But at the very start, you have to start, spread your wings, definitely. And then finding a topic is not everything, of course, as she's just said, a problematic. I would call it a question. You don't have a piece of research, you don't have, research means query. You're looking for something. Now what's that something you're looking for? That's a question. And if we cut research to the very skeleton, to the backbone, I would say research is the answer to a question. The answer to a question. I have a question, which is my focus, as you said before. My focus is a question. My research is the answer to the question. But this answer is put in a straight jacket. You don't just work like, I like this, I like that, I think this or I think that. No. I think at later stages maybe I'll introduce other.
We'll be happy to, of course, get the expertise of Dr. Salwa. Thank you very much. In fact, you are anticipating a lot of the things that we're going to say subsequently. So I hope that we will be able to respond to these, and of course you are more than welcome to contribute comments. One other thing about the research, when I'm looking at this early stage, maybe if I have not resolved some of the problems of how to combine the approach with the research and so on, the point to be concerned with at that early stage is to have a topic that is new, you know, and the novelty of your topic. Don't go after topics that have been done or similar topics have been done 100 times. Novelty is important because novelty is related to your contribution. You know, you're supposed to contribute something, even if you're doing an MA. An MA doesn't have to be a great piece of research with findings and so on, but the topic itself is a contribution. Your topic is a contribution. So go for a topic that has not been done before, that is fresh. Like what you said, it's something about deconstructing earlier readings of somebody, you know, something really fresh, something challenging, because it's not just to show off, it's not just to make people say, wow, it's your research. Your research has to be something enjoyable to you. I mean, I know that a lot of people frown when you say that research has to be enjoyable, because now I have a graduate student who is doing his MA with me, he's writing his proposal, and he's me on Facebook, he's with me on Facebook, and all his comments is that he's being tortured, he's dying, he doesn't want to live anymore, you know, I want to die. And it's, I'm not doing anything. I mean, it's, I have been there. Just to put your ideas into a proposal and to think of the critics that are going to read it and tell you something about it is not a very cheerful prospect. But the research itself should be a cheerful prospect. I mean, try as much as you can to choose a topic that you believe in, something that you are, that it does not just concern you academically. It's a lifelong pursuit, intellectual pursuit for you. Because this is something that will be with you for a long time. It will take a lot of your time and effort and money, and you will sacrifice a lot of things for it. So it better be something rewarding morally. I'm not saying morally from like the strict moral meaning, but emotionally and intellectually should be fulfilling and satisfying to you. Last thing I want to say about this first stage is don't be afraid of breaking new ground. Enjoy the sense of experiment. Because usually, especially at the MA level, we want to go to something that is certain, that is maybe easier to do, that serves more as an exercise, which is good, and it's a good way to think about it. But also, why not combine with this a sense of, on your part, experiment? Okay, this has not been done before. This looks challenging. Right. I will try to do it. I will investigate it. But then at a certain point, I have to assess the experiment and see, is it working? If it's promising and giving me results, I go on. If it seems that I had a wild guess and it's not working, then it's also fine to stop. But go after the experiment. At least this is my advice, rather than go after what is certain and well established. But of course, both are acceptable in research. If you, especially at your MA level, if you want to go to something that has been sort of tried before, not done before, but something similar has been done, and I want to go on and build on it, that's also fine. That's no problem. Yes.
I have a question. Like the whole breaking new ground thing. I mean, as much as I find that very appealing, but wouldn't there be a concern that we wouldn't find research or something like contents held back up, like either back up or maybe refute what we're saying either way? But wouldn't that kind of be like an obstacle?
You mean the reading material?
Yeah. I mean, if we're coming up with something, I mean, you can often come in that's not feasible maybe now, but wouldn't that kind of be a barrier to us?
Sometimes it is if you're working with something totally new or something that resources here are lacking in. But there are topics, for example, you can have this problem even with familiar and tried topics, because if this topic has been dealt with 3 or 4 times from different angles and I want a 5th angle, then the material has already been used and I need to find, you know, because I'm looking from a different angle, then I need to read different stuff. Okay? Of course, I read part of what has been read before, but I need something new. So I think the scarcity of material is there in both cases. And this is a problem that we will also get back, get on to when we talk about further stages. Yeah, you have to balance that, because we need to be practical also. Yeah. Second point is second stage after doing this is narrowing down, expanding your topic, and this is related very much to what we have already said. So, okay, I have Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice. Do I want to work with it alone? Do I want to do something comparative about it? Shall I include a Palestinian text about a Jew? and see how the Jew is dealt with, for example, okay, and do something cultural studies style, comparative cultural studies style. This is expanding my topic. So I start with something I like, but as some of you suggested, I add something to it. Or maybe I start with something big. I want to work on Shakespeare's plays. And then I start thinking, no, that is a bit too ambitious. I cannot work on Shakespeare's plays. So which plays? So maybe the comedies. All right, but maybe this is still big. What about the comedies? Maybe the figure of the clown or you know. So there is a process which goes, I think, side by side with choosing your topic, is to think of it in terms of expansion and narrowing down. And this comes with analyzing your topic, because you start analyzing, okay, I want to study the plays of Shakespeare, so how am I going to handle them? What is my reading going to be like in this case? No, this is too big. So I analyze my topic and decide if I want to expand. This also happens through the help of the community of researchers around me. And this is something we will talk about in more detail tomorrow. But it helps, because I talk to colleagues, I talk to older graduate students, I talk to my professors, even if I don't have a supervisor, and I tell them about my topic. So usually I'm not aware that this is a big topic. And then somebody will convince me that, try to narrow it down. Why don't you do something comparative? You know? So discussing things with the community, within the community of researchers, you don't have to discuss it at, you know, a great width, but with a few. But be careful, because some people pick up your topic and work on it. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, you don't have to. It happens, of course, that you talk to somebody about your topic and they take it. You know, not necessarily your close friends, but you know, somebody who's shopping for a topic. So I mean, try to do it with discretion. You know, talking about things in research circles. And that's what I have, and now I'm handing over to Dr. Bakr.
Well, from what Dr. Randa has been saying, from what Dr. Salwa has said, to me, and I'm sure to a lot of you, research involves a lot of flexibility. You know, and this is something we have to be aware of all the time as we work. You know, if you have the answers, you shouldn't really do the research. If you start writing a thesis, knowing exactly where it's going to take you, then that's a topic you shouldn't work with. It'll bore you. It will be already known. You're not adding anything new. You will not enjoy it. So that flexibility is important. Now, we started with choosing a topic. You've got your topic. You're narrowing it down. Now, what do you do with that topic? And I want to ask you, if you were to, I mean, at the stage of writing a proposal for research, or as you're doing the researching, what do you think are the most important questions you should try and answer, especially in a proposal related to your research? I mean, I have 3 WH questions in mind, and I'm sure you know them, but let's just talk about them a little bit more, because they'll generate ideas, they will tell you more about how to shape up your work. So, what are they?
What, why, and how.
Okay, so you have the what, the why, and the how. Now, since time immemorial, everyone has been talking to us about the what, why, and how. What do they actually mean when you do research? What is the what is the why, and what is the how? This is what I want to talk to you about. And it's very important in relation to combining your corpus with your approach, because especially the how part of it. Now, give me an example of a what. In this research, I want to work with what?
In my research, for instance, I'm working on eco-criticism, which is a new field. So basically, I'm saying what it is, and then I'm applying this to the desert, so this is the first my what question. What's it?
So your what question is ego-criticism, desert literature,
Yes.
right? This is what you're working with. Can you give me other examples of a what question in research? You're all working with a lot of topics. Okay. I work on Othello. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I have a passion about. This is what I want to dedicate the next 2 years of my life to. I want to read Othello. Now, at this stage, of course, this is the what, and it's not necessarily formulated. Now, the other thing that I need to do, especially in a proposal, is explain why I want to work with Othello. Now, you go to Shakespeare, or you go to Milton, or you go to Jane Austen, and a million pieces of research have been written about this. Why are you working on Austen again? Why are you working on Othello again? I mean, what are you trying to answer and why, basically?
The problem, why am I doing this research, means that what is the gap